right now we're finally getting some chilly weather with fall, and so we're pulling out our sweaters. And I've got some really fun things that we can do with sweaters. Now, I wouldn't recommend cutting up a perfectly good sweater. So these are the things that maybe have holes in them, or they've got some stains. Maybe you had a wool sweater and you put it in the wash by accident and it's about 4 sizes too small, or some of us have gotten bigger and the clothes have stayed the same size for whatever reason. So one of the things that you can do with a sweater, and I've just got this man's argyle that was washed and shrunk. So I've cut off the sleeves, and I'm going to show you what you can do with sleeves and then with the rest of it. If I go, one of the things that you can do with them are make sort of these little cutesy, country-ish looking pumpkins. Now everybody's decorating style is different, so you can change this up for whatever you like. But this is made out of the sleeve of a sweater. So you've already got the gathering at the cuff end, and this does not require any sewing. I know you're a seamstress, you probably sew, would be my best get.
I sew.
Oh, well, look at that, and me too, so we're all on the same page. But if you don't want to have to sew, this can be done with some elastics and stuffing. And can you see what's on the stem there, what that is?
Yep.
Got a wine cork. You could also do just a stick. I found these. There's one with a stick. This was just right off of a branch out of my yard. So anything you want to use. And you're going to turn the sleeve inside out. And I'm going to have you try everything too if you want. And you're going to gather up the cut end as best you can evenly. And then just put a standard elastic around it. And that lines up the bottom of your pumpkin or gourd. People might say, well, I've never seen an argyle pumpkin, but it's going to be easy. So it's inside out, bunch up the end with an elastic. And again, this doesn't even have to be a sweater. It could be with a shirt. I've got a cute little baby one out of a baby shirt. Turn the other way. And you've got a couple of options for how you want to stuff this. I like to weight mine down with beans or marbles or something so they don't tip over. This one's kind of tippy because I've just got plastic bags in here. But you can just stuff with an old t-shirt, I mean really anything. I like to personally weight them down though because then they just sort of stay where you put them. So you're going to stuff your items in. Go quick through these ideas. I think you're going to totally understand what I'm doing here. And you know, get it how you want it. You might want a little more stuffing in there. And you're going to bunch it at the top. And I've got lots of wine corks around my house. Company, so, and you can do twine on the top. You can do this jute, rustic, anything you want. You could go with a more refined fabric if you want a little more kind of an elegant look, and you could do velvet or velveteen, you know, Halloween costumes, a beautiful blouse that's seen better days. Go to a tag sale, come here. Anything. If you're just not going to wear it, again, don't take something apart if someone else can make good use of it. Save those little bits of fabric. This is from the tiniest little piece of velvet. And it just makes a fun little, you know, gourd type. If you want a neater edge, this one, see, it's all kind of rough. It's just kind of hand gathered up on top. I love it with the weighted though. It's kind of fun, like beanbagish. You're just going to have a circle. And this is something I keep in the house, DIY kit. And I just have to tell you for a second, I think this is the best idea ever. You know when you buy curtains, pillowcases, any kind of bedding, save the bags because they have this zipper on them. And they're good for putting your projects in. So they're all self-contained. You can see what's in there. This is my little do-it-yourself kit. So everything's all together. You're not hunting all over the place for it all. I also sew garments, so if I have one project I'm working on, my pattern goes in here and all my little pieces if I haven't. And you guys are nodding, you're right on board with this. So I've got my needle and thread, and I won't do it, but I think you know where I'm going with this. You're just going to sew with a double thread. You want to knot it good at one end, and you're just going to do a running stitch around. Fold it over a little bit, start here like so, and then that's going to give you, once you gather it up, that's just going to give you that nice neat edge here. You can finish it up with a glue gun to get it to stay, because if one little snip and it's going to come apart. So those are a couple of options for some kind of fun fabric type pumpkins or gourds. You're going to use the cuff from a sweater, and you want to do one that's fairly tight, like a child's sweater. Cable is really, really cute, and also it's going to be a little bit more elastic than something like this. And we're imagining this is your coffee mug. You're just going to cut the edge of it as long as the mug. So here's your mug with the handle, and you're going to need a slit. And it's like a little cozy for your coffee mug for the winter time, which is really cute and washable.
Or you could buy them at Target.
Throw pillows hanging around. Do any of you dress up your pillows for different holidays instead of buying fall pillows? To me, it's all about who has a place to store all this stuff for all the different seasons. You can, if you're handy with a needle and thread, you're going to sew up. You're going to put right sides together, sew up the one end. You're going to put your throw pillow in, and you're just going to do a nice little stitch, turn the ends in, do a nice little stitch on top. Just gives a nice little look. And you've not spent anything. Tote bags, all kinds of fun things you can do. So there's one idea. Any questions? When you display things on your table or in your home, it's always fun to have levels of things to make it interesting. Because it's all about presentation, no matter what you do, right? You get dressed in the morning, you go out, you want to present yourself well, you want your table to be attractive and interesting to look at. And one of those ways is by having things on different levels. This is a really fun idea, and especially if we're here with the dishes and candlesticks and things like that. You can, instead of going to some of the home goods stores and paying an arm and a leg for something, you can make your own little pedestal displays. And they could either be just for decorations, or you can make them food safe, so you can put food on them as well. This particular one, I usually stick with a creamy white or black, just because they're really basic and they go with any season. This is just a glass candlestick on the bottom, and I've painted it white. And this is one of those really inexpensive pretend faux silver trays. And when you do this, you want to be sure that you are using an epoxy. This is not an Elmer's glue project. You want to use an epoxy that's made for glass and metal and that sort of thing. This is fantastic stuff. You can get it probably at any craft place, Home Depot. Save your Michael's coupon, that's how I did it, and get 40% off, so it's even cheaper. And this has to be put on like 24 hours ahead as far as before usage, because you want it to cure. Now you can see, I did this quickly, you can see the black circle there. You want to measure and make sure that you're getting it on right in the center. Simple enough, but if you don't do it right, it's going to topple over. So glass candlesticks, what else could you use? Any kind of a wooden, anything that's got a pedestal on it.
Did you just spray paint it?
I did.
Okay.
I just
spray painted it. Like enamel or just plain?
I just did a regular spray paint because this one is just going to be used for decorative. If you want to make this food safe, you want to spray it with a glossy, a clear, to make an acrylic, to make it more food safe. Personally, if I'm putting out anything fancy on a little platter, it usually is in its own little paper, like a cupcake paper or the little mini cupcake papers, a little doily or something. You could stick with the one level, or you could do two. This one I don't have permanently attached in the middle, but just to show you what the two would look like. Personally, I like to keep them separate for storage, and depending on what's going on here, it's not going to get knocked over. So I just would stack, right on top. The rule of thumb that you want is to be sure that the candlestick or the pedestal is good and heavy, and that the top part is lightweight. And if you're going to stack them, go smaller on the top, and make sure that this piece, you want to have a wide base on the both of them. So that's pretty simple. Any other thing? Just a plain clear glass version of it. And imagine this plate is not on here. You could do a bowl, like Lois said. You could do...
You can use the bowls for the base.
Exactly. Yeah. See, she could be doing this. So you could go different levels. It doesn't have to be a plate going on top. So when you're looking around in the thrift store, look for little bowls like this. I kind of snagged this from a set up there, so I have to return it. You could even do goblets. because that's already got the base on it.
You can even turn that upside down, that bottom candlestick, not that candlestick, on bottom there, turn it upside down and take something like, what they would hold a small candle in.
Like a votive?
Votive.
Votive holder, yeah.
And you can put that on top
Right
of
on
there.
top.
And you can get fancy candles and put it in there.
Yeah.
I have one of those, I have two of those at home.
That's a great idea. There's just so many things that you can do. I just, it sounds like you already have lots of wonderful ideas. Hopefully you'll learn something new. That's a fantastic idea. Don't, just think outside the box. Flip things around, you know, inside, outside, upside down. And again, you could even get away with not gluing something if you're sure that it's going to stay, just for serving your food. And again, with the pedestals, think outside the box, use your imagination. This is just a garden item that was already made like this, but this is out year-round for me. It's a little weathered because it sits out on my deck. So in the summertime, I've got white pillar candles and seashells and such in it. And the whole idea is using things that already exist, not running out and buying something, making it yourself. So just, you know, interesting twig balls. This right here, any guesses on what this used to be? It's very heavy.
Is it cast iron?
It's the base of a lamp.
Oh.
See, it's really old.
Okay.
So this was the base of a lamp that I found at a yard sale. So glad that wasn't a bug. A crispy one from summertime. This was the base of a lamp, and the hardware had rusted, so I just gave it a good whack and it came right off. You know, so it came up here and then it had the shade. Spray paint. I kind of like things a little bit beat up looking. I don't know. I think it's
shabby chic.
character. I mean, I've got a few wrinkles and things here and there, and I think it adds character. So, again, just look at an item. Again, you want nice and heavy. This is really, really heavy, so this works great for. And spray paint. I'm telling you, spray paint is miraculous stuff. You can change the look of anything. So that, you know, pedestals. Just look at items, everyday items. Let's see, what else have we got? I have, of course, going back to the little sweater thing, this is that example of the little baby sleeve. And it's over an existing little fake pumpkin. So, and this little curlicue, I believe, came off of another decoration. So everything you look at, it's got another use for it. All right, let's talk about our little item behind me. And I'm sure you gals are pretty good at figuring out what this is right here. It's metal, so it's a baking sheet. Now, the baking sheets I have in my house are all, you know, top-notch, because I use mine all the time, and I have to have really good tools and good products. Talk to Lois afterward if you need some. This, when you come here, there's lots of baking sheets, cookie sheets, muffin tins, and that sort of thing. And they're kind of, you know, a little beat up or whatever, and they're absolutely fine for use. But there are other items that you can make with them. This is one idea that I saw that I just thought was too cute to not try. And again, this is only one way you can do it. So this one's pretty shiny on the back. So it was in pretty good condition, but it was really cheap. So I went with using it both as a magnet board and a chalkboard. So I've got a clothespin, again, another fun item that you can do a bazillion things with. And I have used a magnet from another magnet. You know how we get all those little business cards on magnets or freebie things that come in the mail, and it might be one you don't want. Cut them up and use them again. Put them on the back of your clothespins. Decorate your clothespins up for a little.
Does hot glue work on magnets?
Yes. Yeah, for the most part. I think so.
Or is it
And
something
again,
once you're putting it on, too.
yeah, I mean, if you're pulling it on and off the fridge, may or may not be a problem, but I think for the
Would
most part
something
they work
else be
fine.
better than hot glue, maybe white glue or something?
Honestly, I've just used Elmer's for this sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
Because typically if I have a clip up on the fridge, it's just going to stay there. You know, I'm not playing with it. These, however, are a different story. I have another new obsession for collecting things. I currently have about 8 Scrabble games that I found at yard sales this summer because I'm reusing the little tiles, and there's so many fun things you can do with that. We have a whole Scrabble game on our fridge now. So you never know what you're going to find when you walk by. There's all kinds of new words and messages and funny things. Last one I put was, for a while there I was putting dinner, and then underneath I was spelling out what was for dinner, and then the other day I just put DIY. So it was kind of like fun for yourself. I'm not making dinner tonight, so.
What do you use for magnets on the back of those?
I purchased these little because
Okay.
they're heavy duty. They're a little bit stronger than the little flat ones, and they're easier to grab because they stand out farther away from the. So I did kind of splurge, and I bought, I went to Michael's and I bought the package of the little round magnets for that. This is a really fun gift idea too. Get the tiles from a Scrabble set, magnetize the whole thing, put them in a cute little tin or in the Scrabble box, and give it to somebody as a gift, because everybody loves fun little magnets, right? I mean, kids can use them at, well, I don't think you should use
That
them at
would make
school.
a fun wedding shower gift
Yeah.
to do that. Now, did you use chalkboard paint?
Yes, thank you. So on here, we have just some, and I did it really quickly, so it's not the neatest job ever. But I found, this is a mini version of it, but you can, I've both made my own chalkboard paint, there is a recipe for that, if you're interested I can tell you, which has, it's plaster of Paris, an acrylic paint, I'll have to check on that. You can buy chalkboard paint, I just bought this little one.
Oh.
And the tip with that is if you're going to paint something to use as a chalkboard, very, very important to note that you want to go 2 coats at least. And just imagining this is the board. If you're going to be writing on it in this direction, you want your second coat to go that way. So your first coat go in this direction, because there might be a few lines with your brush. Second coat, you want to go the opposite direction, because that second coat is going to grab the first coat better. So that was a tip that I learned that really works. If you do it all the same way, it's going to be more likely to chip off, which isn't good.
Did you have to put any like primer kind of?
I didn't put any primer on it, and so far so good, but I would say just with some really fine sandpaper, rough it up a little bit so that it sticks, and that's a really, really good point, because it may chip off if you were to be, sliding this around, or for something that kids are going to be using, you might be able to scratch the paint off. Another tip, which is just really simple, maybe you already know this, did you know that wet chalk works much better than just dry chalk? Go figure. I won't stick it in my mouth and do it, but if you just get it wet and write with it, when it dries a brighter white. Who knew?
What
Crazy, huh?
happens when you do the dry chalk on there? Can we,
Won't take.
It's not as stark.
oh, okay.
And I don't have, the rounded end, but wet chalk always works better.
And did you know that rubbing chalk along the necklines of shirts that are, a lot of the shirts get dirty on the neckline, it takes that oil stain out of the neckline before you wash it. Yeah, just take chalk and rock it across that.
We're getting all
Or
kinds of extra tips here.
Cuffs or collars, or if you've got a greasy stain, if you rub it with
Really?
chalk, it will take it out.
And it's
Oh,
really
yeah?
taking it out and not covering it over?
Yeah, because you do it before you wash it.
Yeah.
You do
Because
it-
it's absorbing the
it's
oils maybe
really-
from the.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
good in collars and cuffs. Now, if you get mayonnaise on a
Yeah.
shirt or sometimes it's not
Yeah.
as good, but works really well.
Interesting.
Those white dress shirts that,
And then now some of the baking sheets already have a little hole at one end. Usually it's at the long end, like this, so you'd have to hang it this way. Or I've just got the little binder clips, and those just clip right on. And this is kind of what I grabbed in a hurry, but you could do any ribbon. You want to go really rustic, you could do the twine. Totally depends on what you want to do. If you don't want to do a chalkboard, just paint the whole thing one color, and it's just a magnet board. Leave it plain. I mean, it's just the sky's the limit on what you want to do with it, but it's just a fun idea. Again, the Scrabble boards, this is just loose. The little trays are handy. You can cut them in half. And maybe put a magnet on the back of it, or attach it to something, and that will hold your chalk for you. So there's all kinds of uses for games. And as far as magnets, there's other game pieces you could put on there. What other game pieces do you think you might use for a magnet? Think about little wooden, I always think of like the vintage. Dominoes,
Yeah.
checkers, what else?
sorry, doesn't sorry have the little.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of fun things. You could just do, if you like to play games, you could just do dice. All kinds of things you could do. Oh, tell me, I think you're filling it right. I don't want to silly on that. Any other, oh, and I have this here, which is related to this clothespin idea. Have you seen the big craze now with the washi tape, which I just don't
I've
even,
heard of it,
I
but
didn't
I don't
even
know
know
what
what
it
it was.
is.
Well, this came from the dollar store. Sorry, it didn't come from here, but it's just decorative, like decorative Scotch tape. And this little roll, I just got because I thought the flowers were fun. So you could do up a whole set of clothespins, you know, that all match, that go on your little board. And this comes in all kinds of prints. It's crazy fun stuff. You could even, you know, do a border and then do a little decoupage over the outside of it. So that's another little idea.